Well, good day and happy Sunday, and welcome to Drozne's Castle. My name is Drozne, and thank you for stopping by my castle. And today, we are just gonna have a little chat, you and I, about what it is like to be a gamer in Africa. Now, I grew up in Malawi, a rural part of Africa, and I didn't have much access to reliable internet, a video game store, or even a community of gamers I could call my own. So that's the reason I'm making this video. Because I know that I'm not the only one. And I want to talk about how African gamers are being left behind by one of the biggest and most powerful and profitable industries in the world, the video game industry. So let's get into it. Now, let's talk about representation. So, Africa is home to over 1.4 billion people. But in the global gaming industry, we're barely a blip. Like, we are not even a little to these people. And let me give you an example. EA excluded African players entirely from their FIFA Global Series qualifiers in 2022. Now, to me, that doesn't seem like an oversight of a company that big. That seems like EA going, oh, Africa? Do they even have access to like clean water? No, let's not host our tournament there. Who's even going to join? And to me, as someone who has grown up in Africa, we do have access to clean water. Not everywhere, but a lot of us have access to clean water. But that's the kind of sentiment I mean. The general world does not really see Africa as a viable place to market or sell their products, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me because as someone who's lived here their whole life, there is a full booming economy right here in South Africa, right back home in my home country of Malawi. Like, there's a whole group of people who play games, who buy games, who go out and play games with each other. Like, I grew up going to LAN parties with my two older brothers or having them host them at our house because I would just watch. I wouldn't really play Halo or Call of Duty with them because they would always come up behind me and stab me. But like, that's, the point I'm trying to make here is, what is the point I'm trying to make here? Okay, anyways, back to representation. Esports organizations rarely host African servers either, making online play very difficult to access for Africans. One player in Nairobi actually posted on Reddit about being stuck with 200 millisecond ping whilst playing Apex Legends, and that's over 10 times what European players would experience. And just for you people that don't understand what ping is essentially the time in milliseconds that it takes for your game to respond to the server. So over 150 milliseconds causes noticeable lag, and competitive games become basically unplayable at 150 milliseconds of ping. So yeah, I don't think we're all dealing with that level of ping. Like, for me, for example, I don't think I'm dealing with that. I was literally playing Fortnite last night, and I was playing it last night with my sibling and my cousin, who are both in Malawi currently. And connecting with them was not easy at all. And that's me and someone in South Africa connecting to someone in Malawi. So just that alone, we're probably on the same servers, European ones. If there's African servers for Fortnite, please let me know because I'm unaware at this time. But yeah, we were fine. We basically could not connect the entire time. There was just trouble happening with it. One of us could connect with each other, so there was a squad of 4 of us, and one out of the 4, my sibling, my brother, could not connect. Like, he just could not connect to the squad. He couldn't join the party. he kept leaving when he could join, and only around like 1 a.m. I think he was able to actually get into a few matches in the squad with all four of us. So that's to give you a very recent example, literally yesterday before recording this, of what it is like gaming online here in Africa. But anyways, now we're going to go into how hard it is to actually procure games and consoles in Africa. So for example, a new Nintendo Switch might cost you $450 in the United States. But in my home country of Malawi, it would be double that right now. Why? Because of markup. So the extra cost added to imported goods, over shipping, and duties and local resale is what markup is. And in African countries, markup is huge. In 2021, someone reported that consoles in Nigeria were being sold for 84% higher than what those same consoles were worth in the United States. And that's if you can even find a console or a game, for example, anywhere around you as an African. So in Malawi, for example, the ongoing foreign exchange shortage known as the Forex crisis, I can't really get into it. I'm not that educated on the Forex situation happening back home right now, but it makes importing electronics nearly impossible. And you can't just walk into a store and buy a console. And even if there was a store that you could do that in Malawi, and even if you find one, it was probably imported the same way you would have to yourself as a consumer, and the markup on it is probably double or triple most of the time. And for my siblings back home, they are literally paying double for this beautiful little thing over here. So yeah, I mean, it's a dire situation over there when it comes to even getting consoles and games. That's why a lot of gamers in Malawi specifically are actually PC gamers, because getting PC parts and building a PC is at least accessible now, but it is not that accessible. Like finding graphics cards or special keyboards or mouses or speakers, sound systems and stuff like that is still just as hard, I feel, to obtain than it would be to obtain a PS5 or a Switch 2 right now, for example. So it is easier to get a PC as a Malawian, but it's still, like, it's not that much easier. And it's a shame that, people are limited to being PC gamers over there just because they don't have something like a GameStop. Or in South Africa, for example, they have BT Games, which is a franchise game store that's also here in Africa. So it's South Africa specifically, not in my home country of Malawi. In South Africa specifically, they have BT Games, which I love. That's cool. It's amazing. BT Games has been around for a while, so in South Africa, so I love that. Now let's get a little bit more into this issue. Now, after you've gone through all of that hard stuff of procuring yourself a console as an African gamer, now there's challenges when even playing with your console. So, an example from Nigeria, rolling blackouts mean that loads of gamers are often playing in short bursts, hoping that power stays on. You can't even get a good Street Fighter in when your fights go out mid-combo. Why did I write that? But that is a serious issue. Nigeria has rolling blackouts, and Malawi also has rolling blackouts. Without warning, sometimes the power could go out for 6 hours to 48 hours. You actually have no idea. And that is a common thing even in South Africa. In South Africa, they have the same thing, but they call it load shedding. And that happens here as well. My house has solar panels, so thank goodness I don't really experience that often. But it's very annoying when you're gaming and everything, your TV, console, and everything just switches off, especially if you have a Sony console, because they yell at you when that happens. Like, they're like, why did you turn us off so abruptly? And I'm like, I didn't turn you off. The power went out. I'm so sorry. Japan is not used to having power go out. But in Africa, it's a common thing, unfortunately, because our governments are very corrupt.
Corruption is not bad. Corruption is only bad if I'm not involved.
Yes.
But if I'm part of that corruption, I'll defend it.
Now, I will say though, on that topic of rolling blackouts, having a Nintendo Switch, like having it from like a Switch 1 from all the way back then and a Switch 2, like it's very, very useful because when the power goes out, everyone's PS4, PlayStation, and PC is off and unusable, but I can just take my fully charged console out of the dock and just play in my hands. So I kind of like that. I live for that. Like Nintendo, I know you didn't build these with the intention of them being good for African gamers in load shedding, but that is one plus that I will say we do have is when the power does go out, my Nintendo Switch is fully charged, which is pretty cool. Now, I will say, despite all of these glaring issues and very trifling challenges, despite all of this, Africa's gaming population is growing pretty fast, from over 77 million in 2015 to over 186 million gamers today, according to Tech Cabal. That's crazy. And there are startups like Carry First helping to develop local games and payment systems. And even with that, African gamers can still pay more and, well, okay, wait. So let me explain that first. Carry First actually is an organization that not only is trying to support local indie developers to make more games from a cultural perspective and make games by Africans for Africans. And they also help set up with payment systems. So if people are not able to pay a staggering $500, for example, all at once for a console, this company is also able to help people find other methods of paying for it, in installments or something like that, which is pretty cool. But even with that, African gamers still usually have to pay more, wait longer, and often play in worse conditions just to be a part of the same global gaming community, and I find that pretty sad. But now let me get into a few of my own personal thoughts as someone who has grown up in Malawi and been a gamer since I was literally a toddler, since I was 3 years old. So let me get into my own side of this. So, growing up in Malawi as a gamer felt very limited. Extremely limited, if I'm honest. I remember when I was a kid, I was begging my dad for a Nintendo DS constantly during the, I think, Diamond and Pearl era, or right after it, which is the Heart Gold Soul. It's still Gen 4. During the Pokemon Gen 4 era, I was begging my dad for a Nintendo DS. And my dad had to drive over 4 hours out of our town just to find one, and even then, the only games that were available after that 4-hour drive were just different versions of Nintendogs. Pokemon wasn't even on the shelf. Nintendo's highest selling franchise on, I think, handheld and console now, because handheld and console have kind of become the same thing, but one of their highest selling franchises, the biggest franchise in the world, Pokemon was not even on the shelf as an option for my dad to buy. It was just different versions of Nintendogs. I'm happy, at the very least, back then a DS was even in Malawi to be able to be purchased at all. But that's still insane to me that he could get one in this one place, 4 hours out of the main capital city. But the only games that were available were different versions of Nintendogs, which is insane to me. But now, after that, in my mid-teens to late teens, I got a 3DS. That 3DS I had to buy in South Africa. My Switch 1 over there, this is a console I bought with my first ever paycheck. This I had to order secondhand from the UK. My Switch 2, I only have because I live in a place that is not my home country. I live in South Africa, and thank God South Africa has their own Nintendo store, because that is where I got this thing on launch. On launch, it was delivered to my house on launch day. Thank you, Nintendo South Africa, for actually making that happen, because I had very low expectations from being an African gamer. I literally legitimately thought that would take weeks to arrive. And talking about it with my friends before launch, they also thought legitimately it would take a few weeks to arrive. They did not think it would arrive at launch. It was a shock to all of us that it did. And that's sad. That is very sad. But that's just to give you an idea of just, like, as a Malawian, every console I have was obtained outside of my home country. And yet there are people who their entire life have lived next to a GameStop or a BT Games or a freaking, I don't know, whatever your game store in your local game store is in your country. But like, a lot of African kids never got that. And that's just, I feel like that's really sad. Honestly, like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of African kids didn't get that. And I feel like if I got that as a younger kid, I probably would have become a YouTuber a lot sooner. I probably would have discovered a lot of games that I love today a lot sooner. I would have become the gamer that I am today a lot sooner. And I feel like I was robbed of a lot of experiences and time because of that. And yeah, I feel like I'm definitely not alone on that. And another thing about this is that my siblings who are still in Malawi, by the way, cannot get themselves a Switch 2. And they obviously, I bought a Switch 2 and a Switch 2 camera in order to be able to play games with my two siblings and see them on camera and talk to them with the mic. And they can't even get one without having to pay literally double the price to get one. So, yeah. Gaming companies, gaming industry, do better. Help us. Help gaming be more accessible to more people, please. Now, another personal anecdote of mine, I did not have fast internet access growing up as a gamer. So I couldn't join Mario Kart tournaments online on the Wii, for example, or experience Flipnote Studio on the 3DS, or the Nintendo News channel on the Wii as well. I never even got to use PictoChat on my DS. So many magical online memories that so many other kids got to experience with the exact same hardware I had. I just didn't get to experience because I didn't have the internet in order to do so, which, I mean, I guess is a very, I mean, yeah, this is a very African problem. Like, it's not the gaming industry's fault that the internet was so bad in Malawi for so long and so bad in a lot of other African countries for so long. But that just happens. That's just the case. And it's been the case for so long. And nothing's really been done about it. I mean, some things probably have. But I don't feel much has been done aside from being able to now play Fortnite but I only feel that's possible because my internet here in Cape Town reaches the standard of the rest of the world, I guess. But yeah, that's also a personal anecdote of mine, is that I just feel because I didn't grow up with access to the same level of internet that everyone else got, I missed out on so many magical experiences on those same devices that I just, yeah, so many kids got to experience except me, and I know I'm definitely not alone on that. I also want to say, if I had access to the Nintendo games that I loved as a kid and not just FIFA and Call of Duty, I probably would have been doing this a lot sooner, as I said, because, like, being specifically a Nintendo gamer in Africa, I feel was very hard. Being surrounded by I was basically taught that video games were FIFA and Call of Duty, and that's it. And when I discovered what Nintendo was, like, because I knew what it was my whole life, because my brothers obviously had a Game Boy when I was a toddler and Game Boy Advances, and like I was around Nintendo consoles, but when I had my own, like when I got my Nintendo Wii and when I got my DS, like when I had my own experience with Nintendo and like was excited and begging my dad for a DS and like was using the internet that I had to like take 5 seconds or 10 seconds or a minute to like load a picture or a video of a new Nintendo game or a new thing. Like I feel like I missed out on so much. And specifically on that case of not being able to get games, like I wish I was able to experience so many things that people were able to experience on launch. Like I wish I was able to experience Mario Galaxy when it came out and Mario Galaxy 2. And I had a Wii. I did have a Wii at the time. I just could not buy those games. I wish that I could have experienced wow, so many games when they released. I wish I could have experienced Smash Brothers when it released. I wish that one was my longest wait. Smash Brothers Brawl, that was my longest wait. I wish I could have experienced that with the rest of the world. I wish I could have experienced the Wii U with the rest of the world. I had to miss out on an entire era of Nintendo. And yes, I know the Wii U didn't sell. We can dog on that for until the end of time. But I'm an adult now who's buying themselves a Wii U because I never got to experience it because there was no way for me to obtain or even think about obtaining a Wii U back when it was a thing. I only had a 3DS. I couldn't experience the Wii U version of Smash Brothers when that came out. I could not experience the HD remakes of my favorite Zelda game ever, Twilight Princess. That is I had thank God I could buy Twilight Princess when I had a Wii. Thank God that was a game that I was able to experience in Malawi. Thank Nintendo. Thank them for whoever put that copy of Twilight Princess in game where we got that, because I'm just wow. Like that game is my favorite Zelda, and I couldn't even experience the HD remake because I could not get a Wii U. So I feel, yeah, specifically as a Nintendo gamer in Africa, I feel a lot of experience were ripped away from me just by virtue of me living here, which again, very sad. And I feel like that lack of access stops a lot of other kids like me as well. Like, I knew a guy in Malawi who used to fix consoles, right? Like, he was really brilliant, he was passionate, he wanted to make a YouTube channel, but did not have a camera, and he couldn't really find one. And if he did, it was too expensive for him to get, and it was just like, there was just, and that's another thing, like, cameras and like filming equipment and YouTube stuff, even getting that in Malawi is so hard. Not as hard as getting video game stuff, but it's still difficult. And like he had all these different bits and bobs everywhere, PC parts and like old consoles and old PS4s and old Xbox 360s and all this stuff just laying around. And I told him, why don't you make a video of you fixing one of these for your customers, and you could even get more customers off of YouTube. And he just couldn't do it because of where he lived and how hard it was to obtain the resources to do that. And like, I just feel Africa is overlooked by so many different parts of society, and I kind of want to really, this is why I'm making this video, is to call that out. Like, we are just so overlooked so much of the time. Kind of want to say, hey, we deserve to be represented also. We deserve to spend our money also, and we deserve to be looked at as a real market, just like the rest of the world. But yeah, what do I want? I want global companies to see that Africa is real. I want Nintendo demo booths in supermarkets here. I want Poke centers in cities across Africa, like how Japan and Korea have them. I want kids here to walk into a store and see themselves reflected in the games that they love online and be able to go into a store and buy it, like how people in America can go into a Target or a Best Buy and see an entire switch to advertisement promotion and everything, bells and whistles, all of that. Or people in Korea or Japan can go into a Pokemon Center and see their favorite game and series all over the shelves as merch they can buy and have in their rooms. It's just, I feel we're missing out on so much because I don't know, companies just feel that we're not worth marketing to and or worth having these things, and it's sad. I feel like it would be amazing to have the same level of access as the rest of the world does. What would I do if I had the power? I would start tournaments myself, like for Smash Brothers, for Mario Kart, for anything Nintendo. Like, I went to Cape Town Comic Con this year, and they had like three. It was a massive, massive Comic Con. It was my first time being able to go to a Comic Con and like be around a community of other people who love the stuff that I love. And they had like 3 different floors themed after different things, and one of the floors was entirely a gaming floor. It was a gaming floor all about gaming. Nintendo was not represented at all. Nowhere. And this Comic Con was held before the Switch 2 launched, so you would think they would want to at least promote their new console at Africa's Comic Con, but the only games that were there were FIFA, Forza, Tekken. There were no shooting games, surprisingly, but I don't think you could really multiplayer those there. But like, there were just nothing at all Nintendo related. To the point where on the final day, I went up to one of the big display stages that was closing down because it was the last day, and I asked them, could I please connect my? I brought my full Nintendo Switch 1 there, and I asked them if I could connect my Nintendo Switch to their big screen and like put Mario Kart up there or put Smash Brothers up there, and they let me, and that was amazing. But the fact that even like, it's so sad that I had to eat that I was the only one that brought something and thought to even do that. And like, I have footage of doing it. I'm there at Comic Con, like that's my Switch on the big screen right there. But it's just like, it's so sad that I had to even do that. And what really warmed my heart in that process is whilst I was sitting down, because I was so there was a series of smaller like flat screens basically on the on front of the stage, like attached to the front of the stage, and then there's the stage and the big giant projector on the back, and they were like still doing something on the big projector. So I was just playing on my Nintendo Switch on one of the flat screens down here, and I was playing Mario Kart 8, and a little kid had no idea where his parents were. Just comes and sits down next to me, and asks if he can play. And obviously, I give him a Joy-Con or a controller that I have in my backpack, and I'm like, sure. And he's sitting there and playing with me for what felt like hours, like a very long time. No parents around. I kept asking staff, random people around, anybody, like, do you know where this kid? Because I was basically babysitting this kid. He was enthralled, like mesmerized by this screen. And there was an entire Comic Con happening around this kid. And he wanted to sit down and play Mario Kart because I feel I was the only Nintendo thing there for that kid. And I was so happy that I could be there for that kid. And he was there until somebody got him, but he was there until, we basically had to close up, and like the Comic Con was ending and they had to like shut everything down. And he was there till the end, and we played Mario Kart and Smash Brothers. Other people obviously joined because I had a friend that I met at the con who wanted to play Nintendo games, and he came down and he was like, "Wow, it's so cool that you got the big screen." I was like, "I know, it's so cool." And we were just, and we accrued a little group of people, like at least a four of us playing Smash Brothers towards the end, and it was just amazing. It was amazing that I had that experience, but it's sad that that experience happened because there was no Nintendo representation at all at one of the biggest nerd events in Cape Town. And they had a whole floor about gaming and no Nintendo representation before a major console drop. Like, that just makes absolutely no sense to me. It makes less sense to me considering that 8 years ago, this thing, I was living in Joburg and I went to an event in an abandoned Apple store in Joburg, in Sandton, where they were showcasing the Switch 1 before release. And I got to use the Switch 1 before it was launched. It made me want to buy one. It was the coolest event ever that I've ever been to at that time. I think I was 17. And they didn't have anything like that in Cape Town for the Switch 2. Nothing at all. No booths, no advertisements, no coming down here. And what made it hurt more was that Nintendo said we're going all over the world promoting our console. Like they did. Smash Brothers did that when Smash Brothers Ultimate was coming out, and they went to a bunch of universities also, and they didn't come down to Africa with Smash Brothers, but at least the Switch came down to Africa to that abandoned Apple store, and I got to experience it. But the Switch 2 did not get that. Not even in Joburg. They did not come to Africa at all. There was no African country showcased on the Nintendo Today app at all. You cannot even download Nintendo Today in South Africa right now. You cannot get that app. You cannot get the Nintendo News app. And it's just sad to me that when they were announcing the Switch 2, they said, yeah, we're doing a whole world tour. Everyone's going to play the Switch before it announces. Africa got nothing. And that hurt. That hurt a lot. That hurt a lot. That also played into why I didn't even expect this to arrive at launch, because I genuinely thought, wow, they still don't care about us. They really do not care about African gamers at all. They don't care about us at all, and that just hurts. And yeah, sorry to make this into a rant, but it's a little bit of a rant. But I want to close with this. To every African gamer watching this, you're not alone. I see you, I hear you, and I'm going to keep using my voice to fight for all of us, for better infrastructure, for better pricing, for better representation, for more inclusivity, because we deserve to be seen, and we deserve to play games too, with the rest of the world. But if you've been watching this long, thank you so much for listening to me incoherently rant about well, not incoherently. I did script this out, but thank you for hearing me rant about how underrepresented I feel as an African gamer. If you liked this video and you feel like you learned something about what it's like to be an African gamer, or you felt like you are an African gamer and you really related to what I said in this video, comment below. Tell me your stories as an African gamer. Tell me if you're not from Africa, tell me something about what it was like gaming for you in your country. If you have any similar experiences, if you don't have any similar experiences, I would also like to know if you had a very great experience gaming as a kid. I would love to know. If you had a great experience gaming as a kid in Africa, I would love to know. But please, I will read your comments. I really want to know. I want to make this an actual discussion between us. I want to talk about this with my audience, and I really want to just yeah, I want to know. I want to know. So leave a comment below if you've been watching this star, this star. If you've been watching this far, thank you so, so much. I really appreciate you. Everyone who viewed my video last week, Sunday, I love you so, so much. Thank you so much for sticking around and hanging out with me. I will be here every Sunday to hang out with every single one of you. So leave a comment, leave a like. It shows the algorithm that you like me, and it shows me to other people because if you like me, then of course other people are gonna like me. So give me a like, subscribe, ring that little bell notification so that you get notified every time I post. It will be every Sunday. So every Sunday you're gonna get a little buzz on that phone. It's gonna be me. You're gonna hang out with me. We'll play some games. We're gonna talk about games. We're just gonna hang out. So yeah. Like and subscribe. Bye.
Super pop full of cornbread. I shut a bitch up like a phone dead. Fuck out my way when you see me. I'm rolling with the LGBT. Fuck out my way when you see me. I'm rolling with the LGBT.
Let's deconstruct the set. Oh, that's what my hair looking like. Blech. Abracadabra. This was showing Persona 5 royal footage the entire time. I do have the game. I just could not. I don't have it downloaded on my Switch 1 anymore, so I just played the intro there. Wow. In comparison to this bitch, this feels like a toy. Mario Kart. This thing feels so premium, by the way, just to give you a little update on what it's like owning a Switch 2. This thing is beautiful. This thing is gorgeous. Best, literally, not an exaggeration for me personally. This is the best purchase I've ever made in my entire life. I feel like this purchase is life affirming for me. Like this, I can't even explain to you. Like every single one of my friends will tell you how much I'm in love with this goddamn thing. Like this console is, I live and breathe this goddamn console. I love it. I love it. I can't get enough of it. I'm constantly finding excuses to take it out and play it. Like I didn't even use my Switch 1 this much. Mostly because both my Joy-Cons were broken, so playing a handheld wasn't really an option. But like, I don't know, this impromptu like check-in review a few months later of the Switch 1, I will say this console is gorgeous. This console is beautiful. I love it. I'm into it. It's everything I expected it to be. It's everything I wanted it to be. People are just hating online for no reason, I feel, because it's popular and they're jealous that they don't have one. I feel like that's true. A lot of the hate online is just because people are mad that they do not have one and cannot afford one. And honestly, I can't really afford one either. But I bought one for this channel because I'm investing my entire life into this channel, and this was part of that. Also, I just completed a P-Switch mission. Let me. Ooh. Yeah, let me record that so that you can at least see. I did just do a piece switching. Oh, you have low battery too. Okay, you're going in the dock. Let me show you guys the case actually. This case, and this is, I love this sticker so much. It says Shotlis gegen Nazis, which is, I forgot what it means. It's something against Nazis. I think girlies against Nazis. I don't know, but it's like, it's cute. If you can tell me what that says. Because I was told, my friend who gave this to me tells me every time what it says, and I keep forgetting. I don't know if that's girlies or girls, or queers or clowns. I don't know what that. It's something against Nazis, and I love it. It's like it's very cute. But that's the sticker I put online because this is a very basic case, but it has everything that you will need. It has my 2 Joy-Con straps in there, my NFC cards. It has slots for games. It has freaking slots for games. It fits the console so, like, look at how pretty it sits in there. Oh, and this covers the screen bit, and then you like close. It's so premium. This console in general is just so premium feeling, and these being Joy-Con colored, I actually live. This console. I live. Let me actually go into a little bit more because, like, I haven't actually looked over these boxes so often since I got them, but this is so, like, I wish I could have gone. I can go into a store. I could have gone into a store and bought this for the same price, but like, it makes me happy knowing that a kid can go into a store and like see this and beg their parents for it the same way I begged my parents for a Wii, because my Wii was also bought in South Africa, not in my home country. By the way, I had to fly all the way to South Africa with my dad just to be able to get a Wii when I got it. And yeah, so I'm just glad that kids today, maybe not Malawian kids, but at least kids in South Africa are able to go into a BT Games and see this and see that and be able to, like, you know, annoy their parents for an extremely expensive console and accessories. Also, just by the way, to go into pricing one more time, it's $450 for a Switch 2 in America and $500 for a Switch 2 with Mario Kart. It is about, oh my god, altogether that is around $585. So let's just round that up. It's around $600 for the camera, the case, the console, and Mario Kart World and a game. It's about $600, right, in America. In South Africa, for me to have the exact same things in South Africa, it cost me in dollars $894. Oh, ooh, it just updated. $895. $895. $600 for those same things in America. In South Africa right now, $895. And it's not that much better for Europe. I will say this isn't an Africa exclusive problem. In Europe, it's also hella expensive. And I'm pretty sure in Canada and Australia, it's also extremely expensive because of these same reasons, because of markup and import tax and Trump's damn tariffs. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there on camera. Also, forgot to mention that bit. This is me post-shooting. I'd taken everything down. Look how clean the setup is. Oh, allons be on camera. Allons. Oh, also, I just want to go into this. I do have a TikTok video of me putting all the Pokemon games on a 3DS. This is my personal 3DS. My brother sent me this. He bought this and sent this to me. Ooh, it just turned off. This is a very old 3DS. It turns off even if you like breathe on it wrong. I literally closed it so gently and it just switched off. Wow. This is my friend's black 3DS. My best friend Liam. He's also a very big Nintendo gamer. He kept his in really good condition. Really good condition, actually. This one, I don't know who was the previous owner before my brother bought it, but this was quite crazy. And then this is a friend's 2DS that I'm doing the same thing I did to my DS on. I'm giving him every single Pokemon game from Gen 1 to 7 because he deserves it. He's a huge Pokemon fan, and he deserves that. he deserves to be able to play all the Pokemon games. And I will say, if you want me to make a full YouTube video about the process of me doing all of that, because well, I actually am going into a video about why it's perfect to have a Nintendo 3DS as a Pokemon fan in 2025, and I'm going into a whole video about why, if you're a Pokemon fan, you need one before Legends of Zelda comes out. I'm going to explain to you why next week. That is probably going to be next week's video, me telling you why you need a 3DS as a Pokemon fan in 2025. You need one. You need one now. You need it. Okay, at some point I gotta sign off, so thank you so much for watching my video. I love you so much. Mwah!